Estimated, I can tell you infatuated, I can tell you investigated. We can talk about it at the destination, yeah. Been feeling that heat all day. I need a little bit of that shade. Do it, Simon say. Bend over and touch your leg. Cross the road on the bed. God damn it, I need my bread. On the verge of jumping that leg. I love it the way that you do your thing. I love it the way that you talk. Sitting you down, lay you down. Know your mind, I walk. Sitting it down, way down. I got my mind, I walk. Come hate me now, what about now? I know you love to talk. Two-piece coming outside today. Tell me you finna get live today. I don't wanna go ride the rave. I can't take no ride. Running them routes like a relay. I need a little bit of that shade. Do it, Simon say. Bend over and touch your leg. Cross the road on the mess. God damn it, I need my bread. On the verge of jumping that ledge. I woke up tough till like a dragon. I was feeling real high. I woke up tough till like a dragon. I was feeling real
high. What's up, Sixers fans? We're live here on the All About the Birds Network. Sixers just smoked the Washington Wizards. I will use the word smoked. This is the All About the Birds weekly report. We are foregoing the weekly report again this week because of a huge Sixers win, closing out the Washington Wizards in 5 games. We're going to touch on all stuff Sixers tonight, all about the game, everything looking forward to what looks like the Hawks in the next round. We're going to dive all into it. Before I give Chip the first alley-oop to talk about the game here, we're going to pay 2 bills real quick, 99jerseys.com and manscaped.com. Father's Day, it's about 2 weeks away. Both these sites use the promo code AATBirds at checkout for 20% off. You even get free shipping at manscaped.com on top of it. Great sites. All the dads in your life will be super happy. They'll love all the great stuff on these sites. Make sure you check them out. We greatly appreciate it. And Chip, before I throw you the lob here to start us off, to all my haters out there that call me an ignorant, not knowing basketball fan, did we meet some guy named Tony tonight? No, we did not. The Sixers handled business as they should. Chip, instant reactions.
Instant reactions is, what an ass kicking they put on to the Washington Wizards. Look, we all knew that Joel Embiid was a big part of this team, but what this team showed is if they have the time to not very quickly adjust on the fly, this team is lights out. And everybody that needed to step up, stepped up. Maxey played out of his mind. Curry played like his brother. Danny Green, he did what he did. But, Dwight Howard went all the way back to slam dunk Dwight Howard. It was just the team played together, got themselves a break. Now, it looks like the Atlanta's going to wrap this up tonight. I am watching in the corner, so I'll let you know. But look, it feels good. And I know this is the Eagles Wednesday night show. The Eagles did not do diddly this week. We can't spend an hour talking about restructuring Carry-On Johnson. So we're going to carry on. We're going to carry on and talk about the Sixers instead.
Because there's so much to dive into. It's going to be like an Eagles post-game show talking Sixers here. I know Jeff's not the biggest Sixers fan in the world. He doesn't know the X's and O's like
you have to say Jeff's co-host down there is pretty good. Party Doll Dave.
Party Doll Dave and I would be having a good time tonight after this victory, proving what we did. We're going to get into all the different players there, Chip, individually. But, Johnny, your initial reactions to the game? Just ballpark ideas there from what you saw tonight.
Well, you look at this game and you look at a player like Seth Curry to put up 30 points. Tobias Harris, 28 points. Ben, the biggest thing with Ben is if he's not hitting his free throws, if he's not being able to do that and to be able to affect the game in multiple ways that, he does. But the thing is, he gets a triple-double tonight. He starts hitting the free throws. You see more of a confidence of him going in the lane, because if he's not hitting his free throws, it just doesn't seem like his confidence level is high enough to be able to hit into the lane, to be able to dish out, to be able to take on the contact and, hey, I'm going to go to the line. I'm going to make a couple free throws. I think that was big for them, because they need that. They don't need him to be the number one guy. But if you get the production from Curry and Harris, you don't need Ben to score 25, 30 points.
You never did. And that's something that really, really upsets me when people start hating on Ben Simmons or Tobias Harris. They pick one little piece of his game apart. Ben Simmons, as long as he can lock all windows and doors, and Hack a Ben lasted 4 shots, 2 fouls, and it was over. But as long as Ben is doing what he does, which is leading the team, playing great defense, doing the little things he does, you don't need 25 points from him, because there's plenty of options to score with Joel out there. Danny Green, he was 1 of 5 from 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 5.
He had 5 points tonight. He finished with 5 points.
I mean, you had got we actually shot pretty poorly from 3 tonight.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of the equation, Steph Curry, whatever you want to call him, the confidence that Maxey brought to the game, even Korkmaz dove in there with a couple big shots late in the game. You know what? I'm good with Ben scoring 15 to 20 points maximum. You don't need more. It's nice to see him. What was he, 5 for 8 from the free throw line, 6 of 10, something like that. That's good enough. That's going to stop the hack of Ben. Jeff?
Very, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
That was all I had to say. That was all I had to say. It stopped it very quickly. No, it stops it very quickly.
Jeff, you're up.
Look, this team showed heart. All ever since the last game, all that the 76ers fans and the media were talking about is, what is the status for Joel Embiid? What is going to happen with this team if Joel Embiid cannot play this game? And can the Washington Wizards, if it was a significant injury, can they overcome that and find a way to extend this series? And Doc Rivers had his guys ready to play tonight against the Washington Wizards, and they showed the heart that they have on this team, that they are not built around just Joel Embiid, that they can find contributors all across this roster, from the starters to the bench, to come in here and step up when a man is down and overcome with a big win to seal a victory on home court.
I think you're using the wrong word, heart, because they didn't show heart tonight. They just showed that they are a well-built, uber talented team that doesn't revolve around one player. There is more to this team than Joel Embiid. No doubt Joel is the absolute best player on this team. Right. He's one of the top 3 frontrunners for MVP of the league. But there are other talented players. Daryl Morey built in one season the perfect squad to complement Ben, Joel, and Tobias Harris. Chip?
And I think that word that you just used is important. He built a team to complement. Like, you look at a team, and I always go back to the Nets, right? You look at a team like the Nets, and they were like, let's get a superstar. Let's get a superstar. Let's get this big name. Let's get this big name. That doesn't always translate. Like, this team, the big move that they made at the trade deadline was George Hill. And everyone...
Who was involved in that trade?
Tony Bradley.
I believe it's your favorite center, right?
Nothing against Tony before today.
No. And what he did is...
the guy.
And what Morey did was,
that if we had him, this game was a lock. And without him, we were going to lose this series. And, I said no. I said everybody was wrong on that. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, and the thing is, when Daryl Morey traded Bradley, he maximized the trade market for him. He had just come off a couple of really good games, and the asking price was high. And like you put in your tweet, like, he's a rotational G League player. And okay, maybe he's better, maybe he's not. Look, we're going to be dealing with, I'm watching the rest of this game over here, and we're watching Nerlens Noel. There are limits to a lot of these players right now. And I know Johnny Higgins in the comments, like, if he starts playing consistently, Ben Simmons has the sky is the limit. If Matisse develops a 3-point shot, the sky is like, there are things that they can develop. And now with Doc Rivers really pushing this team, you're seeing a difference in mentality than the way that it happened with Brett Brown. But the point is, the next round in theory, should not be a difficult series. I know you said, and you've been saying pretty consistently, Phil, another 4 games and we're moving on. Like, it's not
4 games was without Embiid or with Embiid.
with Embiid, right?
If we play the Hawks without Embiid, if he doesn't play the whole series, which we still don't know, he was out there warming up before the game, taking some minor jump shots, playing around. He wouldn't be allowed to do that if he was seriously injured.
No, and honestly, he looked pretty smooth.
He'll be back, if not game 1, game 2. We might lose 1 game, maybe 2, if Joel doesn't play the entire series. But there's no way. I had the stats up earlier from the Hawks-Knicks game. At one point, Trae Young was like 4 of 16 shooting or 3 of 15 shooting. Dude, Ben, Matisse, Danny Green locks down Trae Young. I'm not worried about that team. Don't give me John Collins is going to go off and carry that team to a victory against the Sixers in a 7-game series. And it's not going to happen. So I'm Trae Young, as little worried as I was about the Wizards, I'm even less worried about the Hawks.
And Trae Young he's going to get his points.
Absolutely.
He's going to get his Bradley Beal got his points. It doesn't mean, though, that Bradley Beal put up 32 points. Russell Westbrook put up 24 points. Hachimura put up 21, but everybody else was in single digits. So go ahead. Let him score 40, 45. If the defense holds the rest of the team, then they're not beating the Sixers.
Johnny, I got something for you. Oh, what were you going to say?
Well, to touch on the Hawks here, I understand that the Hawks do have shooters. They do have talent. That's understandable. But you also have to realize what they are. They're also a very young team who's very inexperienced, and they have guys that, Clint Capella, and you have Hunter, and you have Collins. But they're a good team. Trae Young's going to get his points, but to me, they're a young team that's learning. They're what the Sixers were when the Sixers were – first coming in with these young guys. It's not that, they're talented, but it doesn't mean the Sixers are so veteran. Like, they have so many veterans on who's been there before, which helps you in the playoffs. And like you said, George Hill, he scored 2 points, but he was a +10.
You bring up George Hill. Did you notice in the third quarter when Hill first got into the game, Mark Zumoff made the comment, there was a pick and roll alley-oop to Dwight Howard. The George Hill, Dwight Howard addition to the team, the playoff experience from those 2 guys going forward is so important and so immense for this team going forward. I mean, Zumoff said it, but, it can't be said enough how important having 2 guys how many playoff games, how many championship rounds have those guys played in? It's going to pay huge, Danny Green too, obviously, pay huge dividends going forward.
Well, and that's the thing. You have a team that was centered around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and they didn't really have the playoff experience. So what is the one thing that you really need to do? You need to provide them with guys who have been there. So they bring in the Dwight Howards. They bring in the Danny Greens. They bring in the Seth Currys. They bring in the George Hills. These guys have all done it. So now not only are they getting another run and playing as complementary pieces, but the young guys, and now I'm dropping all the way down to the Maxis, dropping all the way down to the Korkmaz, to the Thybulls, to Shake Milton, who currently right now is still on the Sixers court practicing jump shots, which he could probably use some more. But now they're benefiting from that experience. That is how a well-rounded team is developed. And then you add Doc Rivers, who is a championship winning coach. This team has a lot of potential to go very far, including all the way.
Real quick, I want to touch on Beardo Beagle, someone trying to compete with my Beard of Knowledge name here. Dwight Howard and Danny Green. The Lakers would absolutely love to have them back right now, because just as much as your stars are important, having the right role players around your stars is just as important, if not more important.
Absolutely.
So at this point, I was going to throw the next question to John. Oh, you got something?
Oh, I was just going to trash on LeBron, because at this point, LeBron is even giving up.
Trash on LeBron. That series isn't over till it's over. Whatever. So the first thing I wrote down. I took notes all game because I'm not Mr. No Notes. I take notes. Okay. And first thing. Yeah, I know. The first thing I wrote down right from the beginning of this game was one word. Well, 2 words actually, because there's a hyphen in it. Crowd loud.
Yep.
Tell me that having a full packed arena did not affect this team and the opponents.
to me, I think it affects not just basketball, but all of sports. In terms of these players, to be able to hear the roar of the crowd when you're making a run, you're on a an extended run, you get a steal, you're going down the court, you throw it, and you hit that three, and then the roar of that crowd, just the adrenaline. You can't make that up when there's nobody in the stands. It's like practice almost, and that's the part that look how good the Sixers were. They were good this year at home, but even when 2019, before the COVID and everything, how great they were at home. They feed off of that energy. And when you're the number one seed, you have home court. So to be able to feed off that energy every time you're at home, I feel like it's a benefit to these players.
That's why they won't lose against the Hawks. That's why if it goes 7 against the Nets or the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, I feel we have the advantage because our home court advantage is one of, if not the best in the NBA.
The Bucks and Nets are going to beat each other up. That's going to be
they are absolutely. We might go 5 or 6 games against the Hawks, but the Bucks and Nets are going to go 7 games most likely.
I would be shocked if they don't.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked.
Absolutely.
And like watching this team, right? So the one player that's kind of stood out to me all season that didn't need to be as great as he has been is Dwight Howard, right? And now, since we're talking about 15,000 people, watching him interact and buying, the Frosty freeze out, and him
so disappointed when Westbrook made that second free throw and did not
after he misses.
Dude, the guy's got $100 million in the bank,
I know,
and all he wants is free Frosties. He played
after Russell Westbrook misses the first one. I said this to my wife because we were watching it together. After he misses the first one, the referee has the ball, and Dwight Howard starts to play tug of war with the basketball with the ref, and he looks at the crowd and goes and blows like he wanted the Frosty freeze out because then he goes to a Wendy's and he partakes in it. My point of it is, he's bought into it. He's bought into the process. These guys want to be here. They want to win. They want to be a part of making Joel Embiid that next level superstar that he is becoming very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I truly at the beginning of the season appreciated how important Dwight Howard was going to be. But over the last couple of weeks of the season and now into the playoffs, yeah, different atmosphere for sure. But I don't think the effect was there until the stands were full. And now I really truly get why he's one of the best centers of all time. I mean, he's a borderline Hall of Fame center, if not already a Hall of Fame center.
But it's not even so much like his talent level. Because look, his talent level it's absurd. It's very, very good. But watching him mentor Joel Embiid all season. I knew this as soon as we signed him. I said that was brilliant. You could not have brought in a better guy coming off of a championship run, knowing he's the number 2 center, knowing he's going to get minutes when Joel Embiid misses 21 games, but going in there to mentor how to play center in this league. It was brilliant.
So let's transition for a quick second because we got something up here I want to show everybody. But my man Rob Manoff earlier tonight, he made a comment. Crazy how confident he is in Tyrese Maxey. I countered it with crazy how confident Tyrese Maxey is in Tyrese Maxey. And I love it. And dropping right now on the aatbirds.com/shop website and store, we got our playoff Maxey shirts for sale. We literally got this thrown together in like 30 minutes here. So check out our store. Dude, this is another great Father's Day gift right here. aatbirds.com/shop. Playoff Maxey. Playoff Maxey is 120% different than rookie regular season Tyrese Maxey. Am I right?
You are. His energy, though, the energy of him coming off the bench to be able to do what he's able to do, drive to the floor. He was a plus 14 tonight. And if you're able to get a guy that can, get inside and be able to, create his own shot and to be able to do that and to be able to score. He didn't have a ton of points, but 13 points, and he's able to, affect the game like he is to come off the bench like that. They need that coming off of the bench. We've always talked about that. Shake Milton, he was always in the rotation. But unfortunately, Tyrese Maxey has outplayed Milton and has earned the time.
Yeah, which let me tell you something. Shake Milton is not done. Shake Milton's career in Philly. There's a lot of people saying write him off, get rid of him. He's awful. He should be the 15th guy. No. Shake Milton is still a really good basketball player, and he's better playing off the ball, which having George Hill was supposed to do that. Tyrese Maxey, that'll help him be able to play off the ball. I'm not writing it in on Shake Milton yet. People need to back off of Shake. He's a second-year player. He's a young kid. Let's just slow our roll with the Shake Milton hate. Everybody wants to pick some Sixer at all times to hate on and throw under the bus. There's no throwing anybody under the bus at this point.
But
wait a second. Are you implying that we in Philadelphia are quick to throw a guy's career out because he's not doing something immediately? Gee, I've never heard of such things before.
I don't know, but you want to talk about maturity. Jeff, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You've covered Philadelphia sports.
You're going to talk to him about maturity. He's got a blow-up doll behind him.
Yeah, what a great segue.
Hold on. I don't know how that's going to work. But anyway, talk about our boy M. Cans. He follows the show all the time. He's on all of our shows. Brought a good comment into the Twitter feed world tonight about Westbrook and his maturity level and how he loses his cool all the time. Okay? There was a point in the game where Westbrook got called for a close borderline foul, and Hachimura tried to separate him from the refs, and he shoved his teammate out of the way. I don't know if you caught it. I caught it. I know Zumoff touched on it. He literally shoved his teammate away. If a Philadelphia player on any team did that to one of their teammates, that's all this show would be about, win or lose. So again, the Philly fans, let's pump our brakes on how we treat our players here. Especially when we're winning. Jeff?
Oh, sorry.
Your thoughts on that? Or
no. I thought you were continuing to go, or I don't know.
No. I was waiting for you to give me your thoughts on maturity level and how we treat people.
Look, I would say I agree. That was something he probably shouldn't have done. But look, he's in a win or lose, go home type of situation. Emotions are going to get high. I would say he's going to. He's a competitor. He's been in this league long enough to know what it takes to win, and he knows that this Wizards organization is not a winning team. They shouldn't even be in the freaking playoffs. If it wasn't for this new format and all this other crap and the East being as sucky it is, remember, they were a below 500 basketball team heading into the playoffs this year. Mm-hmm. So I think he might be kind of regretting the whole mid-season trade from Houston to Washington, that the grass isn't greener on the other side kind of mentality right now, because he is stuck with a crappy organization right now, and he doesn't know how it's going to make it better, and he let his emotions and his frustrations go wild.
Yeah, but he goes from a crappy organization to a crappy organization. Houston,
exactly.
Yeah, Houston's was not after the Harden debacle. They weren't looking.
Oh my God!
So for him,
I'm not saying they were good, but still, I would say he's at the tail end of his career a little bit. He's up there, getting up there in age. It's not like he wants to try and win that championship, and right now Washington ain't it.
Unfortunately, Westbrook's built to pad the stats, but he really isn't built to win. Look what he's done with Oklahoma City. Look what he's done with Houston. Look what he's done with, Washington's only a half a year. But for me, he's that great. Yeah, he's a great player. He's a future Hall of Fame type of player. What he did, all the triple doubles, everything like that. But putting up numbers only goes so far. Doesn't always mean you're going to win championships. Karl Malone, there's John Stockton. There's players that have put up numbers who haven't won it all. And unfortunately, I think that's what Westbrook's going to be. But
you look at Karl Malone and John Stockton, and they are considered two of the greatest to ever play their position. Yep. Russell Westbrook is a fantastic athlete, and he's a great regular season guy, and he should win, triple crowns and triple doubles, and he does all the things that he does, and because he leads the league and all those things. That's what I was going for. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to winning in the playoffs, he cannot, or let me phrase that. He is Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't win the big games in the playoffs.
Aaron Rodgers got a title. Russell Westbrook does not, to my knowledge.
Rodgers has won. He's got one.
He has one.
He's won, yeah. I got thrown off for a second.
One more than Westbrook.
It doesn't matter. Russell Westbrook is so concerned about padding his own stats, and you saw it. He got angry after he turned over the ball. What does he do? He just does a horrible, horrible foul on Ben Simmons before Ben Simmons even crosses center court. Like, he's not basketball smart. He's exceptionally athletic, Russell Westbrook, but he's not basketball smart. And it showed because Bradley Beal tried to carry the team.
From Westbrook and from Beal, both of them, we actually have learned how we're going to play well in round 2 against the Hawks. And when we get to round 3, how to stop the bigger teams. If you make the star players on a team work extra hard on offense, extra hard on defense, by the third, fourth quarter, they're a little tired. And we're so deep compared to the other teams that we're not exhausted. So I think that's the key moving forward in the playoffs, that game plan. They made Beal and Westbrook tonight work. So every single shot Beal made, and Beal is an amazing scorer, one of the best scoring options in the NBA today. But he had to work so hard for every layup, every shot, every three-pointer. He was not getting clean, open looks that he didn't have to work for. And you could tell by the fourth quarter, he was wiped.
But I take that and I talk about Beal and talk about Westbrook and these talents. This is where you have to give credit to Daryl Morey and how he built this team. Yes, you have Ben Simmons, and you have superstar Joel Embiid, and you have Tobias Harris, who's a very, very talented player. And what they did was they go out and they surround these players with shooters, which the fans have been asking about, but it's always the way you build your team. You can be the greatest player, but it does not mean you're going to be the greatest team. You need to build around that. And I think that's what Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, they did so well this offseason that they haven't done. Well, Morey is his first year, but Elton Brand hadn't done the years prior. But yes, you get everything around. But I think the one main key piece is got to be Doc Rivers. Because what does it say? You watched the Clippers. To me, it wasn't Doc Rivers that was the issue there. But
Doc Rivers is one. Doc Rivers has titles. I've said it before.
Yeah.
Not only do you have 2 other superstars in Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, you've got a Hall of Fame winning coach as your head coach. You've got an Executive of the Year candidate every single season, like Jason brings up here, standing pat, just getting George Hill, not giving up the farm to get somebody that was barely a needle mover, keeping Tyrese Maxey. It's paid off. It's paid off. Ignoring your dividend, not getting rid of Matisse Thybulle, paying off. So not only do we have the right team, we got the right coach, we got the right front office.
And ignoring all of the outside noise rather than, pulling the big move and giving everything up for James Harden, which I was adamantly against. I didn't want him here. Yes, we would outscore teams, but what you would have to give up to get him would absolutely deplete with the core of what this team is. This team, look, Joel Embiid is the star of this team. We know that. But this team is also built that if Joel Embiid has to miss a game, this team doesn't fall apart. If Harden was to be brought to this team, if Harden was a part of this team, losing an Embiid, there's one player you have to stop then, and it's James Harden.
Right, because trading for Harden would have cost you Ben Simmons. It would have cost you Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle. It would have cost multiple of those players, if not all of them, plus picks. So when Embiid goes down, now all that depth that is stepping up isn't there anymore.
It also costs you the ability to play the type of defense these Sixers play.
Right.
Because James Harden doesn't play that style of defense.
No, not
or any defense.
It's what fits the team. You're not trying to just get a superstar and just hopefully it gels. They had a plan. The plan was in place, and they started to try to assemble the team to the ultimate goal, which is the NBA championship. It's the end of the process.
I guess this means that the game is officially over between the Knicks and the Hawks, right?
Yes, that's why I confirmed that. Okay. I put it up there.
Do we know when game 1 will be?
I'm scrolling through the internet
as you find out what game 1 is. You let me know. We got to know that. But yeah, so I want to talk about 2 other role players because then we got a big point to discuss. But real quick, we're going to play 2 more quick bills real quick. 2 more of our great sponsors on this show. We've got oddsjam.com. We're in the heart of the NBA playoffs. Huge betting time. Make sure you check out in the bio of the show, oddsjam.com. click the link in the bio of the show. It's an arbitrage calculator. Basically, it tells you all the different sports books. If there's 2 sports books, one has the Sixers at minus 100, the other has the Sixers at plus 100. It tells you so you never lose money. You might not win big money, but you will always win money using their site and their options. Make sure you check it out. And Statement Games, free fantasy site. It's a fun twist on fantasy sports. I'm sure they're going to have Sixers playoff contest once game 1 of the next round starts. Make sure you check them out and sign up in the link in the bio section. What were you saying there, Jeff? Do we have an official date?
Game 1 is the 6th.
Which is?
4 days from now. So
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Sunday?
This is what I found.
That's not the answer. So it looks like Sunday. It looks like my plans on Sunday are being canceled because I will be
that's according to NBA.com. They have the playoff brackets. They have game 1. They have 6-6 game 1 above the Sixers, and the Nets in the Milwaukee game as 6-5. So Saturday on TNT.
Gotcha.
Well,
so 6-6.
Hopefully it's a night game and not a 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Sunday Funday on Sixers game 1 against the Hawks. You know what? Somebody want to give me and donate me 2 tickets. I'll be happy to come down there and watch it with you. All right. So 2 role players who are going to be key in the next series against the Hawks were huge tonight. Danny Green missed a bunch of corner threes tonight. That's his go-to. That's his thing. They call it the greenhouse. But he did not let his off shooting night affect his defense. We saw his hustle play there on an inbound pass and get the steal. And Seth Curry. I keep wanting to call him Steph Curry because he's just so good tonight. Close to 30 points. But not only was he good tonight, when it was still a close game at the start of the third quarter, he scored the first 12 points of the third quarter. And that just kind of took the air out of the Wizards when he's making that many shots in a row. So who wants to touch on first the importance of the 2 biggest role players on this team? They're not even role players. They're borderline stars, in my opinion.
Well, so for me, looking at Danny Green, right, like you mentioned, if you're going to play a guy 29 minutes because he is a starter, knowing that he plays ferocious defense, look, he went 1 of 5 from 3 and scored 5 points. Now, that is not a good scoring night. So you look at that next layer. He had 4 rebounds, which is good because that takes some of what Embiid normally does. 2 assists and 2 steals. So even though the shooting wasn't there, having him then step up and turn it up to the next level on his defensive side of the ball was vital. If you look, sometimes you don't have a good shooting night, but defense can consistently be there. That's why they say defense wins games. Danny Green is one of the top defenders on this team. So that's why he stays on the court for 29 minutes. And going up against a quick-footed guy like Trae Young in the next round, they're going to rotate into him at some point. And he has the ability, as he saw with Westbrook, as you saw with Beal, to poke that ball loose. That's going to matter a lot in the next round.
Absolutely. Johnny?
For me, Seth Curry, if he can continue the type of shooting and the offense that he can provide. Now, this is all, of course, depends on if Embiid's there. If Embiid's there and he can still give you this kind of, performance, it's going to be leaps and bounds. It's going to be great for them to go up against Atlanta because for me, yes, Atlanta has, like I said, Collins and Capella. I don't think that they're that good of a defensive team. And you're able to throw all these different types of players at them. Yeah, Trae Young will throw, 25 to 30 shots up and he may hit, 7 to 8 of them. But for me, it's Seth Curry able to shoot. I think it was 50% from 3. I think he only had 6 threes attempted tonight. But if he can give you that type of production, I think the Sixers are going to be very, very hard to beat, especially with everyone else doing what they're doing.
He doesn't even need to give you 28 points. He just needs to knock down his shots consistently.
But if he gives you 28 points, you're blowing the team out.
Yeah, I'll say I'm going to agree with Chip, especially when it comes to Danny Green. Danny Green's a guy that knows what it takes to win a championship. He has 3 of them. So he's been there. He knows he has the veteran leadership. And the fact that he shot as bad as he did tonight and you still put up 129 points, if he hit a couple more of those shots, this could be even more of a freaking blowout. So if he can get hitting from the 3-point and continue his perimeter defense, I'd say he's definitely going to be one of those X factors in the next round that's going to make or break this team, especially like Johnny said, depending on the status of Joel Embiid.
Yeah. All right. Before we transition further into the Hawks series, I want to touch on one more thing that could have cost us another game tonight. And that is the god-awful NBA refs in this series.
Again.
And it wasn't just against the Sixers. It was against the Wizards too. But as Sixers fans, we see more of the missed calls against the Sixers. But how can these people go on and not be pulled from playoff rotations, anything like that? I mean, how did the NBA not reach out to this team, this group of refs, and tell them that they got to do a better job? Because it was just straight awful performance, missed travel calls, push-offs, offensive fouls that were defensive fouls that were offensive fouls. It went both ways. And It was just straight train wreck, and that could cost a team like the Sixers a playoff series.
So I for the first time tonight heard a phrase that I had never heard before, and I kind of knew that it existed, but I never heard the phrase, and it was that was clearly a playoff foul.
Did you read my notes before the show?
I did not. But again, I've been watching basketball and playing basketball my entire life. Look, I understand that some of the ticky-tack stuff doesn't get called, but just how hard does somebody need to hit the deck for it to be constituted as a playoff foul? That sounded dangerous to me. That's how you get guys like Joel Embiid hurt, and Bertans hurt, and DiVincenzo hurt, because there is a different level of aggressiveness that is expected to earn you a foul. You know, when you're raising children push the limit, right? They figure out how much they can get away with, and they go just below that level. And then when they think your guard is down, they go above that level again. If you're telling me the aggressiveness level of playoff fouls is even higher, you are going to start seeing blood coming out of people's mouths. They're going to get hit and taken to the deck so hard. That's not acceptable. Playoff fouls shouldn't be a thing.
And I understand that it shouldn't be a thing, but it's not just that it shouldn't be a thing. It's the consistency. Yeah. So sometimes they're getting away with, awful hacking fouls and throwing people around on both sides. And then other team, like I tweeted last game, literally the Sixers were farting and getting fouls called on them. So there's got to be consistency. It's just like in baseball. It's just like in football with passive interferences and baseball with the strike zone. You need consistency as a referee crew or an umpire crew. And this crew was straight god-awful. Johnny?
How many times were the hands in the net?
Yeah. And the thing is, you got playoff basketball. Like, some of these fouls are so ticky-tacky. It's like, let them play a little bit. And it's almost like the players know this, especially some of the star players. They know it, so they're just going to be like, all right, the guy's going to touch me. I'm going to flop as hard as possible to get the fouls. And even towards the end of the broadcast, Zumoff and Allah were talking about it, and Allah mentioned that, this crew is just, and he actually said something about the referee crew and how it needs to be addressed, and how, it needs to be in the next round. Hopefully you don't see more of what was going on. When you have an actual person who's doing the broadcast, bringing it, he's not one to really call out. No. To be able for him to do
They're
that
very professional.
Really shows you how bad the officiating was. Now, unfortunately, it didn't cost Sixers, too many games in terms of going a little deeper in the series. They got it after 5. So, but for me, next round needs to change. But the thing is, you have a team. Trae Young likes to always go to the basket and likes to call. You have the complainers. I would like to say there's a lot of that in the NBA. That I think in the playoffs you have to kind of say, you know what, it's playoff basketball.
Listen, Russell Westbrook, my God, it was like watching a child.
He's made a living and millions of dollars with his acting skills. So you know what? The thing is, though, we expect that out of him.
It was like watching a kid.
I think two of the most egregious missed calls tonight, where there's 2 times that the Sixers were up against the shot clock. They did not hit the rim. And the worst rule in basketball is when the other team gets the ball as the shot clock goes off, they can't fast break. The refs let the Wizards twice run fast breaks when the Sixers did not beat the shot clock. It's like the worst rule in basketball, but yet they didn't enforce it. It's almost like, did this rule just disappear and evaporate? And it did not. And Zumov and Allah hit on that on the second time it happened. I think they missed the first time, but I mean, consistency. It's all we want is consistency. So the players know. I mean, Ben tonight did not get in foul trouble till late because he knew what was being called. So he adjusted his defensive game a little bit.
How about the fact that the number one thing you look for when you are officiating a game for a goaltending call is when a player hits the net with their hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Gill put his hand through the damn net, and there was no. It was textbook goaltending, no call. So is there? And again, I saw Beardo Beagle, and that's is there a playoff goaltending? Like, what does it take for you to execute some of the calls that you have executed for 82 games now? And why have the players build into a rhythm 82 games of what the league looks like, and then it changes in the playoffs?
Yeah, I can't disagree with you one bit on that. All right, I'm bringing up the box score from the Hawks Knicks game here. Get prepped to talk a little bit about this next round series here. First off, I'll be honest. I thought the Knicks would win that series. I thought it would go 6 or 7, but I really thought the Knicks would win it. So biggest concern going into the next round, guys?
Are you asking what our biggest concerns are?
Yeah, I'm asking you what the biggest concern is.
Joel Embiid's health.
Fear?
Joel Embiid's health.
It's a perfect answer.
That's literally the only thing that can slow this team down is Joel Embiid's health. Now, the one player that I would like to think could, along that Rui Hachimura skill set, is Norristown zone Cameron Reddish. Second-year player now in the league, has that same skill set, can score from three, can drive, can rebound. If he's putting up some serious points a game, that could alleviate some of the expectations on Trae Young. However, if you're comparing, exactly. I said Norristown
I know who
zone.
he is, but who are you asking about?
Cameron Reddish?
The guy that didn't play. He's not even in the box score for tonight. Wasn't even a DMP coach decision. So you're worried about a guy that doesn't actually play?
I said skill set. And again, Norristown zone. He literally went through my school district, so I had to throw him out there. Went through my school district.
Gotcha.
I taught his little brother.
That's almost as bad as me talking about Adrian Killens. Come on.
No, Cam Reddish is a little bit better than Adrian Killens.
A little better. At least he's a playoff player.
Talking about Kevin White.
Yeah.
But for me, a player I'm not going to go Trae Young because that'd be or John Collins because those are easy ones to pick. I'm going to go Bogdanovich because he's a player that if he's on, and he's a player to definitely watch. He can hit from anywhere on the court. So he's definitely a player to keep your eye on because the Hawks have a lot of those players that can hit from the outside, that are shooters. They are a team that shoot the ball and they shoot a lot of threes. So, and if they're on, it's going to be hard.
They got 3 role guys that can get hot. And tonight, only one of them did even remotely good. Bogdanovich can get hot. Gallinari, he was 0 for 7 tonight, but he's a guy that when he was with Oklahoma City and some other teams has gone off to have big games. And Herder, whatever, Kevin,
3-point shooter.
Yeah, another guy. I mean, again, he was 3 of 8 tonight, 2 of 6 from 3, only had 8 points.
Don't discount Lou Williams, though, either.
Lou Williams played 7 minutes tonight.
By the way, Cameron Reddish is hurt.
Okay.
He is expected to return for the second round of the playoffs.
Okay, just checking because he wasn't in the box score, so didn't even know if he was still in the league anymore at this point. Just wanted to throw it out there. No, yeah, they do have 3 guys.
Achilles soreness.
So I'm even less worried. So, yeah, I mean, 3 role guys that at least one of them is going to go off. We just know the Sixers always give up that one game that some guy that's not expected to, that averages 8 points, is going to go off, make 6 or 7 3-pointers in a game. And they got 3 guys that can do that. If you control Trae Young, if you control John Collins, if Embiid's back to guard Capella, I think we're fine. But realistically speaking, one of those 3 role players could literally carry the Hawks to 1 victory this next series.
Yeah.
To 1 victory, maybe.
Yeah.
To
I'm still saying, even without Embiid, I'm still sticking to my 5-game victory in the next round. I don't care if Embiid plays or not. I'm sticking to 5. Sorry.
Look, Trae Young and the Hawks didn't face a real challenge with the Knicks. They didn't. Randall finally looked like Julius Randle did, and none of the other guys stepped up. So to say that, this is the beginning of their playoff run. Now, have we seen in the past where young players step up and it's playoff time? Yes. Is Trae Young going to get his points? Absolutely. We've seen it. It doesn't change.
Here's a young guy that stepped up in the playoffs right here.
It doesn't change. I like how we both leaned out of the frame.
So our faces were still there, but we've got playoff Maxi on the show. We can all lean a certain way and ask playoff Maxi, dropping right now on the AATBirds.com/shop site. Just throwing it out there. Check it out. Support the show. We appreciate it. Sorry. You gave me an opportunity to plug our new shirt, our new merch. Had to throw it out there.
And Trae, like I said, Trae Young is going to get his points. But he's stoppable.
Exactly. But the thing with Atlanta is, yes, they played the Knicks, but the Knicks don't have anywhere close to the firepower the Sixers have. So that's another thing that you also have to look at is the Julius Randles and Derrick Rose and RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin. These guys aren't Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Seth Curry, Tyrese Maxey. The Sixers have so many different options. And the thing is, it seems like every game you see somebody else take another big step and put that big point score. Tonight Seth Curry puts 30 points on the board.
Yeah, who had that? Who had that bet? That Curry was going to go for 30.
They do this. It makes them very tough as they go deeper in the playoffs because they have so many different options. And if a player like Tyrese Maxey can keep gaining his confidence game in and game out, it makes him even more dangerous because you could get him off the bench to be able to almost like a spark plug off the bench there. So to me, I think Atlanta's going to have a tough time defending, especially if Joel Embiid comes back.
The Hawks ran 7 guys more than 7 minutes tonight. So literally they're running a 7-man rotation. Tonight, the Sixers had 9 guys play over 14 minutes because of that depth. So, again, the depth, like you said, Johnny, it just goes so far and deeper into the playoffs, much more important as it goes.
And the thing is, if you look at the prior game with the Knicks, they had only 8 guys go more than 11 minutes. Mm-hmm. So the last guy on the bench Lou Williams went 11 minutes. So they're going
a very, very, very small rotation, which most teams do shrink their rotation come playoff times. But the Sixers don't need to yet. Now, when we get to the Nets or we get to the Bucks, yes, that rotation is going to shrink. You might see less Furkan. You might even see less Maxey. I don't know. But Beardo Beagle here bringing up another one. Matisse looked a little silky from beyond the arc. Let me tell you something. The NBA, if he figures out how to knock down 35% of his shots from beyond the arc regularly, the NBA hasn't seen a 3-and-D player like him ever before. And I wanted to bring him up and Maxey up because of the foul calls. And they touched on it tonight again. Again, very respectful announcers in Mark Zumoff and Allah. They don't criticize refs unless they have to. But they were talking about fouls that were being called on Beal, and they were calling them rookie fouls because Matisse entitled, I know Matisse is a second-year player, but he still gets treated like a rookie. And Beal, being the all-star, gets the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely.
What does Matisse and Maxey got to do not to get those playoff fouls called against them or the benefit of the doubt? Like Trae Young is going to get some foul calls against Matisse that shouldn't be called because Trae Young is the star and Matisse is a young role player.
They got to be in the league. That's what it comes down to.
You have to, though, admit, though, when Iverson was heyday, he was getting those calls, too. It's not just – and
I understand that. It happens to all the stars. It really does. But there comes a point where the refs – a light switches.
Play a little bit.
And you got to let them play more, and you got to accept the fact that these guys are young, but they're playing well. And at some point, that does switch. And
you mean the playoff fouls?
Yeah. Hey, I disagree. There is a thing called playoff fouls. Playoff basketball is a little tougher, a little rougher.
Sure.
I understand people will get hurt if it gets out of hand, but that's where the refs have to define the line.
Right. And again,
and make that line firm.
It's not even necessarily the fouls. Like, you do have to still protect the players, but the basic calls that you can't say change with the aggression, the goaltending, the shot clock violations, like those are the flagrant fouls, the breakaway fouls. Like, there are some calls that anybody who has ever watched professional basketball could make, and they didn't make those calls tonight. That can't happen. Yes, if you want to let them get away with a little more aggression, fine. But like we said, in game 4, you had players going to the ground every single trip down the court, and it was only called 50% of the time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
So what are our picks in the series?
I already said it. 5 games.
I say 5.
Sixers lose.
I say 5.
Sixers lose game 3 in Atlanta. Hot Atlanta will be fired up for a second-round playoff game. I'll be curious to see Atlanta's fan base. I don't know. It's Georgia. I'm sure they got a packed stadium. I'm sure they allow a packed stadium. But knowing Atlanta sports fans, I mean, the Braves were in the World Series and they couldn't get half their stadium filled back in the 90s. So Atlanta sports crowd does not really scare me to affect the game. That's just my opinion, though.
Atlanta goes football, NFL. Actually, no, it goes Georgia Bulldogs, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah.
The Georgia Bulldogs are the big team in the state.
College sports is way more important. So one game, and again, I'm not picking them to sweep the Hawks, but it would not surprise me if Joel Embiid comes back and plays even 20 minutes a game. I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep them. I wouldn't. And I'm not trying to be bold or over the top or some weird hot take. It wouldn't surprise me because the Sixers are that good.
And the Hawks haven't faced an actual threat in the first round. The same way the Sixers didn't. The next round is the actual first playoff series for Trae Young.
Yeah.
And it's just another day at the office for Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. The Hawks on paper cannot compare to what the Sixers are. And it's what we knew when we got the number 1 seed. Let the Nets and the Bucks beat the hell out of each other in the semis. And then in the Eastern Conference Finals, we'll take on whoever survives.
Absolutely. 120%. We got anything else to throw out here? Jeff, did you say 5 also, Jeff? Or did you say 7? Or did you say Hawks win? Jeff, everybody, Jeff just said Hawks are beating the Sixers. Mark it down. Write it down.
Hey, if that happens, I don't know what's going to be a more devastating injury in Philadelphia sports. Joel Embiid's torn meniscus costing them a possible NBA championship, or T.O. having his injury during the Super Bowl year, costing us a Super Bowl.
That's a really good question that we can tackle at some point and all, because
that's a good poll question. Possibly.
It actually could be. I want to see when he's coming back, because if he comes back next round, then it's not. But if he waits till the Eastern Conference Finals or the Finals to come back, it's a very good poll question. So what's Party Doll Dave's prediction? Can we get him on the mic?
Sure.
What's he say is going to happen? Yeah, dude, watch where your hands go on him. That was borderline offensive.
Why are his hands coming off?
I think that head shake is better dance moves than Jeff Scott, probably. That head shake says Sixers in 4. Mark it down. Party Doll Dave says Sixers in 4. All right, that show's just way off the rails now. Do we got anything else to say before we wrap this up and shout everybody out here tonight?
Nope. Get the hell out of here.
And again, this was supposed to be the football show, but the Eagles in the last week did not do a single damn thing to put a show around. So maybe, and we kept saying,
even if they did, this is too much of a moment for Sixers. This is too much of a moment in basketball. We are an Eagles network, but we are a sports network. We're all sports fans. We got to talk Sixers basketball because it's the most pertinent topic in Philly sports. Although tomorrow, I'm sure somebody will have a poll out there saying, is Wentz more important than Jalen Hurts? I'm sure someone will say that tomorrow on some social media. I'm sure, but that's not what's important right now. Not at all.
No, and you look at the Eagles, and look, we all kept saying that the June 1st date was a big day. So we were excited to do a show tonight because it was going to be talking about all the moves that they made. They didn't make any moves. which, it's the status quo and it's a long off season. We know we have $8 million to spend.
We got plenty of topics to talk about when the Sixers aren't playing. If the Sixers play Sunday, maybe they go back to every other game, which means Sunday, Tuesday, which means next Wednesday there won't be a Sixers game to interrupt us. We could dive right back into the Eagles
Hopefully
next
not.
week. What's that?
It should be every other. It should be every other.
It
This
should
whole
be.
play
Except
first
for a
round,
travel
games,
day.
Come
Yeah,
on.
I hate that.
Stop
No, there was
with the
2 days
travel
off in
day.
between game 1 and 2.
I know,
Game 1 and 2 had 2 days off, which is just ridiculous and all. All right, real quick, let's shout out to a couple of our sponsors. First off, I want to thank everybody that tuned in. All the great comments, Beardo Beagle, M. Cance, Jason, Don, all the great comments. There's so many of them. I'm missing some of your names on there. We appreciate it. Make sure everybody watching the show is always liking, subscribing, following, sharing all the different networks, not just on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, on Apple iTunes, giving us 5-star reviews if you're listening on there, Spotify. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and following on all networks. We greatly appreciate it. But also, make sure you support our sponsors because they help us keep this thing going. They help us keep this thing growing. We greatly appreciate it. First and foremost, going to touch on our shop one more time. New gear just dropped. Playoff Maxi, hottest name in Philadelphia sports right now. Everybody loves it. Make sure you get his shirt, hoodie, hat, whatever you want, stickers on our shop site, aatbirds.com/shop. Manscaped and 99 jerseys. I know you want to touch on 99 jerseys, Johnny, or Jeff, Chip, ever one of you sent that message. It was Chip. Father's Day's upcoming. Manscaped. All the dads in your life. The wives will be happy too. If you're a wife and you buy the dad, your husband, something from Manscaped, even you'll be happy. So make sure you check out these sites. The promo codes are AATBirds, 20% off, and something else.
That's the difference. So I got an email whilst we were on the air that the code for 99 jersey is now AATBirds 20.
AATBirds 20. I'm going to mess that up for at least 3 weeks now. I guarantee.
I'm going to mess it up until the end of time. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been saying AATBirds for way too long.
Literally while we were on the air, I got an email.
Which means, so that's fine. And so AATBirds 20 for 99 jerseys. AATBirds for Manscaped. Make sure you use the promo code. Supporting them supports us. I know there's literally 40 podcasts that have deals with Manscaped, but using our promo code helps us. And I hate to say it, we're 4 pretty damn good guys. So, it helps to support us, so we greatly appreciate it.
Just don't use the same attachment.
Again, yes.
Got to make sure we say that. It's just a little disclaimer because some people don't know that.
Yeah, use the right things on the right parts and at the right times. Very important. Definitely very important. Again, thank you all for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Again, the All About the Birds weekly report. All Sixers tonight because here we come. Eastern Conference Finals right around the corner. I'm ready.
We do have to say one thing. I just mentioned one thing about Jeff. Behind him, he's got one hell of a collection there of Super Bowl pictures from the Eagles. I'll throw that in there because I wanted to say at the beginning, but
when we hoist up the NBA title, I want a Joel Embiid shirt or sign or picture. I want a Sixers sign in the background when the Sixers win the title.
Phil,
I have
we'll have a shirt.
He'll have a shirt?
Make a shirt. I'll make a shirt for you. You can wear it everywhere.
No. I'm saying I want something hanging up behind him that shows off the Sixers winning is what I'm saying. Instead of all Eagles Super Bowl, I want some Sixers title stuff hanging up behind him.
I'm sure he'll have something. Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get there. Again, everybody, thank you so much. Right down there, it's Johnny Uleka, Johnny U 9322. We got NFL Jeff Warner, DJ Spazzy Jeff down there. Jeff Warner NFL on Twitter. That's Chip Keggy at Chip for the Birds. Phil Stifle at Beard of Knowledge, not Beardo Bagel. Beard of Knowledge again. Tony Bradley, who? I'm going to close the show with that right there. Don't worry about all your Tony Bradley love. It's not necessary, people.
We're the Toby haters.
We normally say go Birds, but I think we should
go Birds.
I think we should say go Birds and go Sixers.
Go Sixers.
Here they come. Phila.
And here we go. Peace.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBirds at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBirds. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.